Hey everybody, having a little bit of technical problems. The files keep corrupting on me, so we're gonna try to see if we can't salvage this best we can. And it kind of jumps around a little bit because of that, but I'm gonna try to explain my best what exactly we've done and went with. We took the fan idler out of right here. You can see the two studs right there and right there. Popped it out. The other thing that's missing is the coolant pipe that goes from right here down to the top side of your water pump. It also connects in right there as a bypass tube. Basically, to get this pipe out, you end up rotating it clockwise, and it will come out far enough to clear down here and pull out the bottom. Best way to do that is to remove the hose off of the end of that little pipe there. You can see you can either try to slide it forward or just take it off in general. Most of the time that hose is pretty brittle and rips and tears. I plan on replacing it each time, so I just usually tear one side of it and it comes right off, and then you can rotate this out and pull it out pretty easily. I replace, like I said, that hose. I also always count on replacing the O-ring inside this housing. It stays on the pipe itself. If you look at it, it's up here at the top. There's a GM part number for it. It's like $2, and I've tried reusing them. A lot of times it doesn't work out very well. Ever since I've just put a new one on each time I do one of these jobs, I have yet to have any leaks come through there. So they're a lot. It's just better to replace it while you have it out. It doesn't come in the kit for the water pump, so it's something that you kind of have to take upon yourself to have on hand. After that, you have this large hose down here. Your lower radiator has the warm drive clamp, 5/16 and a ratchet, loosens right up. Run a screwdriver around the edges and break the seal, pop it down. It will have fluid in it most likely, so just take in account for that. Put a pan underneath, some floor dry, whatever you got, and be ready for a little bit of a spill. It's not too bad, but there will be some fluid in there. The next step, there's a couple bolts on the back of that water pump that have to come out. Best way to get to them is through the fender well. The first step that I take is take the charge tube out of here. This is the bottom side of it. There's a clamp here with an 11mm nut, and then you also have the top side clamp right there, right off of the turbo itself. Undo both of them and that pipe slides right down out the bottom. You just rotate it and it comes out. Like I said, as you can see, I took the fender well liner out of there, and that brings you in here. There's the bottom side of that boot for your charge tube, and then there's your water pump itself, and you can see that it ran right through here and then up to here and on up and around up to your turbo. So it was right in the way for these two bolts right there. You can see the top one right there. There's also one in the bottom about right where that drip is, and those two have to come out before it can slide out the front. They are 12mm nuts. This first one isn't bad, but the one on the back side is kind of a booger to get to. There's also usually, I've already taken it off, the lower bracket for your fan guard. comes forward, and it mounts up to 2 bolts back in here on the block. Trying to see if I can point these out. Right back in here. You can't really see it, but right there, that little bit of a shiny spot is the back one, and the front one is right up here. So 2 bolts, 18 millimeter. The front one I got from the bottom. It's a straight shot right up to it, and the back one I got with I believe a socket and a flex head ratchet with a bent handle. Fits right in there and it'll pop loose. They're short bolts, but they are a larger bolt, so they have a little torque to them, but not bad. Once you take those 2 off, obviously you can see these a lot better now. So you take those 2 bolts off, and then we can go back around top side and take the front bolts off and pull this bugger out of here. Okay, so we're back up top here. I've already broke the seal on this so that it would drain, but there are 3 bolts holding the front side to the block. There are, let's see if I can help point these out here. You see this one here is misaligned. Like I said, I broke the seal on it, but normally the bolt goes right through there. That's your first one, and then down along the side, down over here, you drop down, there's that one right there, which is a nut on a stud. You got to take that one off, and then if you move to the right, in between the 2, there's also one right there. These 3 are different. The one you're looking at right now is the longest bolt. The one up top here is the short bolt, and the one down on the bottom left, it would be, is a nut, obviously. I'll bring you up here. These are the 2 bolts. They're obviously different. This one's in the middle, this one's on the top, and then the nut is down on the bottom left. So roughly in this type of orientation, top, bottom, and center. But I'm going to put those up for a second just to show you that once you get them out, you can wiggle this nice and easy, and it should pop out of here nicely. There we go. And you can pull it right up through here and out, and all of that work comes to an end. There's your water pump. So we'll have a couple more things to show you as far as putting your new one in reverse order. So let's get to it. One kind of last thing to note here, this is a new Gates pump. They have lifetime warranty, and they tend to be pretty good units, so I've had good luck with them. I pretty well prefer them. But you notice there are threads but no studs. You have to take them out of your old pump. So most people, if you don't have the right socket, can get by with a pair of vice grips or whatnot. If you do want to know, the correct one is a E8, which is a female Torx, basically. So you can get them on there, and they are pretty snug, but they'll come right out of there, and then you can Loctite them back into your new housing over there. That way you have your studs in place. The Gates kit does come with the new O-ring for the main shaft into the block, the coolant tube, which will end up going here, and then you also have your top O-ring for the bypass tube. But the gasket on here, I usually do use some the blue coolant system gasket maker. It seems to set up pretty nice and seals up good, so it hasn't given me a problem yet or a leak yet, so I'm gonna continue to do it that way. But just thought I would let you know that the correct size for that stud socket is an E8, and what gaskets come with this kit and which ones you're gonna need. Other than that, the coolant tube up top has the O-ring that fits around the tube. It's actually just a little bit smaller than this. I'll go grab it here in a second, but it's well worth replacing also. I would highly recommend it. So got our new water pump slid in there, bolts are started and just snugged up. I wanted to take a minute to kind of catch up on things. I did get my gasket maker around the back inlet pipe, so that's kind of setting up now. Everything lined up good, slid in nice, everything's going well. These bolts are supposed to be torqued, so make sure if you don't have a torque wrench, you have a pretty good calibrated hand. I don't, so I use a torque wrench. The spec for them, let's see if I can get this to focus here. Yeah, all data says front ones 18 foot-pounds, and the inlet pipe bolts, the back ones, and also the top are also 18 foot-pounds. So basically anything on there should be torqued to 18. So that's what we're gonna go with, and we'll get started on that and then start putting this back together. But no, it's going pretty well, and everything pretty well is in the reverse order. Don't really think there's a whole lot of tips or tricks to putting it back together other than take it up or put it back together the same way you took it apart. So we're going to finish draining the coolant out of that lower hose and refill with some new stuff, and should be good for at least another 150,000. So we'll I'll let you know if I come across anything that is worthy of noting back together, but till then everything's working pretty well. So